So yesterday we had a announcement in Alberta regarding the Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare Program. This announcement came through the province from the federal government, specifically from Minister Suds and Justin Trudeau regarding their national childcare program. So the announcement was for additional funds to come into the province to support infrastructure and space creation for nonprofit childcare moving forward. I believe it's under a 4-year plan. Always when we see money coming into our care services like childcare, wonderful news. I appreciate the recognition that this program needs more support and isn't working how it's currently been rolled out. So, I applaud them for taking some initiative to try and fix things in childcare across the country, and to really make sure that there are spaces that families can access under this affordable childcare program, because without access to the spaces, it's not supporting anyone. I think, though, there's some things to point out, and I don't want to be negative about this program, because again, I think anytime there is money that's allocated for programs like childcare, healthcare, those types of care programs we need, it's always a good thing. But I do feel like we're putting more money into a program that's not rolling out in a successful way. It's not meeting the intentions, and it's not meeting the goals that were set for it. But we're not understanding maybe why it's not. We're not fixing the root causes of those issues before we're investing more money into it. And I think anyone who has operated a business or has investments would say this is probably not your best way forward. And I think we need to, as Canadians and people who are investing taxpayer money in a responsible way, we need to make sure that we understand why the program isn't working. Why are we needing to put more money in to create more spaces? What's causing the access issues across the country, and really figure out the root causes of those issues before we just invest, because we can't get out of bad policy just by throwing money at it. And I think that this Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare Program, unfortunately, is a lot of bad government policy without understanding the nuances of each province's childcare programs, without really consulting with on-the-ground childcare operators, the front line of childcare. And if we continue just to push money at this program, we're not actually going to create a program that is sustainable long-term for Canadians and that really meets the needs of our Canadian families and our children for the future. We're creating a program that we want our children and our children's children to be able to access and to utilize, and we want it to be successful. And I think, childcare operators across the country are more than willing to speak up and support and collaborate with all levels of government to make sure that this massive investment, both federally and provincially, really works and is creating a program that really meets all of the intentions, which were fabulous. And I think this program is such a well-intended program. We just need to get it back on track and kind of figure out how we use this program and the structure of it so far to really create something that's wonderful and accessible for Canadians. And we're not there yet. And I'm really concerned about continuing to invest in something that's flawed and not working, because we're just putting a Band-Aid on it and not actually fixing the issue. And I really do believe that a main part of that issue is that we're rolling out a federal, national, universal childcare program supposed to be inclusive of all Canadians, regardless of where they live, regardless of income. But we're doing it in a way that only supports one part of childcare and one type of childcare. And we're excluding all of the other kinds of childcare, all of the other types of childcare that really, as Canadians, we've become dependent on, like private childcare, for-profit childcare, part-time childcare, preschools, out-of-school care, kinder care. All of those things are not represented in this national program. And that's a major issue. And I think that we need to go back to that and say, are we actually being inclusive of all Canadians right now? Are we giving access across the country in rural areas, in areas where people really rely on day homes, private childcare, those types of models? We can't just continue to roll out a one size fits all nonprofit public program through this whole sector if we're not really understanding who's going to use it, who's going to staff it. That's another major issue. These programs roll out with zero staffing plans, zero workforce strategy. Again, this one yesterday, no mention of how we're staffing these new 68,000 plus childcare spaces in our province. We have some major staffing issues across Alberta already. We have major staffing issues across the country. And we really need to make sure that we're building a national program with qualified staff to ensure the quality of care is there long term for children. And I don't think we have anything representative of a workforce strategy in place that is going to support this program provincially or federally right now. I think, I would just plead with our federal government to take pause before we spend any more of Canadians' money on a program that isn't successful right now. And more money on bad policy is not going to make it successful.